Randy Chitwood, Steve Smith in attendance. I don't know if John is going to show up or not. I'll have a discussion possible approval of the minutes of May 24th, 2020, regular meeting. Here, motion?
Motion.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Call for vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
I assume there's no petitions from the audience. Buddy, you're up. Already.
Well, like I said, we sprayed the alleys. We're going back through and doing some trimming on it, getting those done. We've done some entryway repair and street repair over on South Lock Street. Some of our gutters over there are basically the entryway to some of the drives, so we've had to go back over and replace them. And out in front of the street, we've had some asphalt that was falling in big holes, so we had to go back and fix those. We're still mowing, weed eating. We're just about done weed eating, spraying. I mean, that's just about done. Everything's about, I think we've got it done unless we get some more rain. Got one guy, he's in the drainages right now while it's not raining, trying to get some of them mowed. So, just him. I had a guy, he's one of our employees he's leaving his position here at the end of this week. July 1st will be his last day. He's going to another position elsewhere, so I filled the paperwork out and stuff. Like I said, you all probably see that. We're going to go ahead and go out for I don't know, what do you call them? Applications. Yeah, that's what it
Application
is.
for employment.
Haven't been out in the sun too much. Went and checked on some paint. Sherwin-Williams hasn't called us in a while. We went and checked back with them, and they said that they're still unable to order that type of paint that we need for crosswalks and everything. They said they've got a couple more people. They said that they'll recall to see if they can get them. Other than that, I mean, I've seen some people doing some painting around, but they're using just regular paint, which you're just blowing money away doing that because it won't last very long at all with that. So if we can't get any before school starts, I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, there's some, I mean, they need painted. And I know I've had a bunch of complaints and stuff that's causing, but like I said, I've tried to explain to them, you know, right now we're unable to get the paint. We've even called advanced signage over there in Muskogee. They're the same way. He said what a lot of the state and some of these other places, I mean, they've been hiring them out, but it's like I don't want to call it a wax, but they come in little round pieces. It's like a glue sticks or something. They drop it in this hopper and it melts. And then when it goes out, that's what the state used to use a lot of times. Until you notice when you plow, a lot of times you'll start getting little colored pieces off and stuff, and that's what it is that they're using. So as of right now, we're still unable to get any paint. So I think everything else going. Other than that, that's just about it. I mean, we got little odds and ends jobs and stuff that we're doing, but I mean, that's the major things.
Sorry about that, buddy.
Oh, that's all right.
Could you just start at the top there?
You got all the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, any questions? Oh.
You got all the sidewalk over there by east side.
Yeah, that one over there, we finished there. We still have some over there to do, but we're gonna probably move on to another one, to another area on down and get some of those other pieces that are broken up that we can fix. But no, I just told them that we sprayed the alleys. We're trimming them now. We're mowing some drainages that we can get into since it's dry. We've done some street repair over on South Lock Street. Had one guy, he's quitting July 1st. We'll have to go for another employee. He's going to a different place of employment. So other than that, that pretty well covered. I mean, like I said, we got odd and end things. We're doing some alley work. I mean, some people's called us the last big rain, said they had water standing, but I mean, you're gonna get water standing anywhere when you get a big rain like this, but, we've run into, problems in some alleys that, we're gonna try to dip, but I don't think that it's gonna do any good. Some of those alleys are a foot lower than what the road is where the street comes out to. So when I guess when they built them houses in the early times, they pulled most of the dirt material out of the backyard to put it up for their footing and things like that. Well, now their backyards are all low. We shot grade over one back over behind Orris Street, and there's no way to drain the water. I mean, it's, like I said, it's 2 foot lower. If you go back towards the south, just shooting grade for just an example, it's 2 feet higher than what their back property is. And then if you go back to the north, if you go all the way out to the street's a foot higher. So there's really no way to, I guess, say to drain the water. It's just there. I mean, it's been like that for a long time, but I know that when we had this substantial rain here a while back, you know, everybody was complaining about having water. I mean, but there's not a whole lot I could do about that until everything went down. But I mean, about 2.5 hours after it went down, all the ditches and stuff went back down to normal. I mean, because we've been doing a lot of, you know, drainage work and, you know, dipping ditches and things like that. So it all went down pretty fast. It just, there's some areas that just naturally gonna hold water. So, and I don't know what to do about that. But I mean, to me, you tell them that they just need to fill their backyard in, and then they get mad because you tell them that. But there's nothing else that I can do for them. I mean, it's just low. The neighbor's yard runs over, and this neighbor yard runs over, and it just sits in back through there. So, I mean, they'd have to fill their yard up to try to push the water to keep it back on, you know, the other properties or something. But I don't know. I don't know what else to do for them. So you may get some calls, may not, but be prepared. I'll give them your cell number.
That's public information.
No.
Hey, where we at on starting up on the repair on van?
Repair on
South van.
what?
South van.
Good question. Don't know. I haven't been able to get a hold of Tony Dunham. I was kind of hoping they was going to get started here. Well, done been started. I mean, we've had some nice days. I know that they had to hold off here for a while till we had that council, you know, to go get that extra for that change order. But I wish they would get back over and get this finished up so we can get it closed out and be done with it. So they don't, I mean, they're, I think, a good contractor. They doing a good job, but, you know, now's the time I think they need to get back over and finish up. I mean, it shouldn't take them all that long to get it done. You know, they should, I'd say within a week, what's left, they could finish it, so.
What did they do there on South 8 there by the church? You had that,
On South Adair?
you know, with that concrete, you know, you'd hit it when you go to make your right-hand turn.
Oh, you're talking about Rose?
Row,
Street?
I'm sorry, row, my bad.
Well, they were supposed to put like they did over on, Southeast Third and, I think it's Southeast Third and Road, where the crown in your road, where it comes across, and the water was basically standing on one side of the road. It's supposed to kind of go drain on down back towards the north, where there's a lot of that water. It just wouldn't do it, because some of these streets we've done overlays but no mills. So until we get those corrected, we have water standing, but they were supposed to just do a little channel that goes across the road. So that water stands right there on that side. It's supposed to go back towards the east. And, but they're supposed to come back in, and mill part of that, come around that corner, and then relay that asphalt back up to the concrete. But
It just seemed like concrete was up high.
yeah, I think that's gonna be another subject. I don't think that they was
We're
under.
gonna have to remove that concrete, retract the channel.
Yeah.
There's fall across the intersection, but he put it in with the asphalt, so he's got a crown in the road. So we're supposed to meet with him and get that replaced. Hopefully that's when they'll come back and take care of Main Street.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Your fellow that's leaving, did he give a reason why? I mean,
The employee?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a higher paying job out there.
that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Just gonna put you down one, or how many
Well, I mean,
people are you down?
we'll have 9. I mean, we're actually down 4, but we just stayed, instead of having gone back to 13, we just stayed with 10. I mean, because we pretty well keep it up. There's not, you know, some of these larger projects and stuff, you know, that we basically contract out. We don't have the manpower to do a lot of those. But for just our daily maintenance and stuff like that, I mean, it was working fine. But yeah, that's why he left was, I mean, he was a good employee and stuff. I mean, if it didn't work out, I mean, I'd hire him back, but he was just going because it was just more money.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Okay, discuss possible recommended to Budget and Personnel Committee to propose street budget for fiscal year 22 and 23. Here a motion for,
Motion.
Second.
open for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I asked our city engineer to be here tonight as we talk about these things. You have the budget, proposed budget there in front of you. And if I can just go down from the top, you see the street salaries recommending a 4% cost of living allowance. Below the salaries and benefits item, a lot of those items are pretty much the same as they have been in last year. The street supplies and the general, their item 5034, raising that to $10,000 to be able to acquire surveillance cameras and a new computer over at the street department. If you can drop down to item 5075, the street outside services and engineering, we continue to work on drainage and street, and I've raised that amount up to $70,000. Utilities, 2 lines above that, I raised that up to $13,000. That's a guess, educated guess. Item 5092, street drainage projects. You can see I've got $807,000 trying to budget on that line item. The 7th Street drain, the Bailey Street drain, the 14th through 19th Street drain, and I called it the Nunley ditch repair. It's actually, we called it the Kernett ditch repair on Steve's projection there. So those are items that need to be done, and we've done some work in trying to acquire easements on the 7th Street drain. The Bailey Street drain, we need to do that for a few years. We own property there where that drain goes through, and there's some other properties that perhaps we would need to acquire to get that done. But it's included in the work is included in that budgeted amount. The 14th to 19th Street drain, something that we have had the need to do, and that is, let me see. You have that one in your packet? 14th to 19th Street drain. I don't believe I put that in the packet. In fact, the 14th to 19th Street drain, that one was estimated about $900,000.
Yeah, that's the phase 2 of
Yeah.
what we refer to as the Fairlane.
Right. And that one I left out. That one I left out for this coming fiscal year. So that 14th to 19th Street drain, as you see that note there, please scratch that out. I do not have that included in the drain projects. Steve, could you speak to the Kernett
Yes.
item?
The exhibit that you have on the back of the packet.
That's this one here.
This is a drainage project that basically is needed. As you know, we did the phase 1 Salt Branch cleanup this last fiscal year. And at the same time, MUB put in a sanitary sewer line, an enlarged sanitary sewer line, an interceptor, going to the north up to Giles property, and now it's going to be extended to the east. These two projects did a lot to help the drainage problems up there. We're just cleaning up and capacity increase on Salt Branch is a high priority at this point. This tributary that we're talking about, referred to as the Nunley ditch, is a tributary that runs adjacent to his property, and it's near where it ties into Salt Branch. When the sanitary sewer line was put in, large from a 6-inch line to an 18-inch line that crosses immediately upstream from this, we started seeing some additional erosion going on downstream from that pipe. And the recent rains that we've experienced has caused that erosion to be increased. So we're going to go in and put some additional riprap. The plan that you see in that exhibit is kind of what I'll call the worst case scenario. We looked at that originally for putting in the bank stabilization blocks that we're familiar with, that look like large Lego blocks, to control the erosion at that location. The 18-inch line is just causing more turbulence in that little creek than what the 6-inch line did. And we're seeing that a lot of the bedding material associated with that line and even the larger riprap that was put in there at the time is making its way downstream. So we're going to need to stabilize that area. And one of the things we're going to do is go back and rebuild that berm and armor it with some larger riprap. I think that's Buddy and I talked about it today, and I think that's what we need to do, is to armor that so that we don't continue to erode that problem away. It's been exacerbated by the 18-inch sewer and the large rains that we've seen this spring. That's the Nunley project. Of course, we don't want to. What had happened in that location before is some years ago, whether it was Dr. Nunley or his predecessor, went out and put an embankment in to try to turn that creek, and they did a good job. They put some rubble, if you will, on that area, but it's been many, many years ago, and trees have grown up in that area. What's happened now, the turbulence on the downstream of this sanitary sewer has cut away that berm. And so there's an area that the water now spills out of the creek and goes out into a low area that is this. We want to replace that area where the berm is, keep the water in the channel. Basically, we've done some deterioration of that. Our work on the sewer line and the work along Salt Branch there at the confluence has added to this issue. So we're going to get with MUB and participate, have them participate in this as well. I'll be presenting some information there, the breakdown, how we're going to do that. At this point, we're not sure. But in that same regard, it's kind of a tit for tat. We've got MUB needs a utility easement along North Elliott Street to put in electric lines. So what we're doing is we're going to cut down these trees. MUB has agreed to cut down some of these scrub trees that we're talking about here in return for getting that utility easement from Dr. Nunley, who owns the property adjacent to it. So we'll do this, make the improvements and repairs that we need to, and in return for that MUB, we'll get that utility easement so they can extend the power line up to and across the Giles property.
Thank you, Steve. Y'all have any questions about that particular drain? Okay. The 7th Street drain is kind of over back behind where Goldie's is, and then from there, working back to the east. And there are several easements that we've requested, and we've got all but one. So we're trying to get that other easement so that we could perhaps go in and do that improvement with that drain. The Bailey Street drain is there just west of the funeral home of Steve Shipman's funeral home there on Bailey Street. and two properties we own that's right across the street, Bailey Street west of there. And there's a drain that comes through Shipman's there. It's underground, but it dumps out there, and then and then it just kind of spreads, and that floods in there when we get a big rain, and also comes up really close to some of those houses. There's also in the street budget, the street asphalt overlay on 5410. There's also an item, Bailey Street there, that goes along with that drainage project on that item 5410. Do y'all have any questions about the drainage projects? All of these projects will improve how the water drains through our town. If I can direct you then to item 5410, the street asphalt overlay, that is a value of $675,000, which is less than the asphalt overlay projects that we did last year, or this fiscal year. But they're described there in the notes, proposing to, I mentioned the Bailey Street along with that drainage project. There's a half mile on Gaither Road between Southeast First Street and Graham Avenue, which is actually, didn't that go out to Highway 20?
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
20 north?
yeah, north there onto First Street, Southeast First Street. That's in need of repair, and we identified that one. Also, there's about a half mile on 510 Road. Now, 510 Road, if you're just just south of Pryor Creek Bridge, the road that goes out west, we own, or it's in city limits on that. It looks like it's a county road, but it's actually a road that we own. It's getting really bad. That road's used a lot for people trying to go around the town area, and they come out through that road from the county road over to that 510 road, and it's got some pretty deep chuck holes in it, and that's our responsibility. So I identified that one as an improvement. And then an alleyway, the north-south alleyway between Van and Rose Street, starts there by First Priority Bank, and then heads south. It's pretty rough. Goes down through that church, and so I identified that particular alleyway to do some work on. Buddy and I have talked about these items, and he agrees, and so then we bring it to you for questioning. Is there any questions, observations that you have?
What was that one section west of Old 20 that the county commissioner wanted to go in on repairing?
Oh, that's on Old Highway 20 after the fairgrounds.
That's a mile.
Cemetery to Keel Road,
Yeah.
and then the county would do from Keel Road out to what I call Cartwright Road.
Yeah. Do you? You didn't include that.
That's not in there.
Yeah.
It's not in there this year.
Right. Right. I didn't include that because that particular stretch of road is really not too bad. But the stretch of road from on Gaither from First Street to Highway 20, that does need to be worked on. And we got residents that live in there in a residential area. So.
But the one we're just talking about, Highway 20, that's contingent that the county and us kind of do it at the same time.
That
rather
section,
than,
that section is what we call Southeast 29th Street, or Southwest. That's what you're talking about, 510 Road.
I'm talking about 20, Highway 20.
Oh, they're talking about old Highway
Really,
20,
the-
out to Keel Road.
The worst part of that road is the county.
Right, I know that, but I'm just saying, they're not gonna fix it unless we do something too.
Right. And the manner in which they want to fix it is just overlay it. They don't want to do any kind of base repair or anything else, but that's, you know, we can include that. His cost per square yard for doing that is pretty minimal.
Yeah,
We had that discussion with the county commissioner, but it is, the worst part of that road is the county side. So our side's not so bad.
but for us, if we budget it, it won't be till next year.
It'll be it's not included on,
That's what I'm talking about. It won't be this budget, it'll be the next budget.
correct.
Good on that?
I think
Okay.
2024.
Yeah. That's what I prefer to do, so that we
Yeah.
can get some of these other things done that are,
We kind of already had our agenda kind of set and
right.
they come up with that, so we just have to work that in next year.
So, y'all have any questions about these street
I'd
and
like to
road
have a little
projects?
more clarification on, down here on 5430. It says street, cemetery, drainage, and utility. I thought the cemetery was separate from us. So I'd like a little bit of clarification on that statement.
We have a drainage that comes from the cemetery that we put in on that, the northwest part there where all that water was standing. We went in with the cemetery. They worked along with us, but we put a ditch, drainage ditch over there to East Manor that comes off of that one little cul-de-sac, not a cul-de-sac, I guess. It was a place where, I guess eventually where the road stops. We run it over to there. We've got to go back through, these big rains that we've had to kind of wash that out. We've got to go back and put some riprap. We've got to clean it up, go back and put some riprap and stuff into that to keep that, the soil from continuing to wash out. So that's what that's going to be for. We had so much rain last time that we couldn't even get to it. It just stayed wet all the time.
It's down there in that really wet, down there, that low part, it's really, really wet behind there. We mow it when we can get in to mow it, but it just stays pretty wet, and we can improve that so it'll drain out. The total, $2,783,976.32. I estimate that tax revenues for this coming fiscal year be about $1,862,518. And then taking from the reserves of $921,000, and that would leave in reserves about $1.2 million in the street fund. So,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I do see one there on 5411.
okay,
That should be times 2.
times 2.
Yes, sir. That's the price for one.
Oh, okay, we're talking about the
The
dump
dump
and plow
trucks.
truck?
Yes, sir. The dumping and plow trucks.
Okay, so, all right, so you're saying the amount of 100,
Yeah, it was 136 apiece.
oh, it's 136 piece. Okay, that's a miscommunication with me then, so we call that $272,000 then. Thank you, buddy.
I cleaned my glasses, I was able to see that, so.
So that would increase in the total by $136,000.
They're gonna affect the budget.
Yeah, so that would bring the total to $2,919,976.32.
Going forward, is that?
$2,919,976.32.
Is that gonna be an issue going forward?
I'm sorry?
Is that gonna be an issue going forward with the budget?
No, does not appear. That would take $136,000 out of that remaining in reserves, so that put our reserves at about 1.120. So we still have over $1 million in reserves in that street, in the street department. Thank you, buddy, that was an oversight. Other
Anything
questions? Other questions about it?
Randy, any questions?
I don't have any questions. I was gonna ask about what Buddy asked on the dump trucks, plow trucks, but it's been addressed.
Did you tell them about our situation with those trucks, buddy?
Oh, well, they are on order. Again, they don't just have the trucks like they used to be, the bodies, you know, kind of halfway built, sitting around. So it will be, they're talking it may be possibly a year before we can get them. Because trying to get everything together to put them together. So, but that's just almost like anything. Like I said, even with the paint, we still can't, they still haven't been able to get any type of paint that we're getting in the cross tanks. So it's just, it seems like everything is either sitting out on the barge or they're just not making it, or somebody buying it up and storing it. I'm not sure what's going on. But you figured after a year, when that plant broke down in Texas, you would figure that it would be running good. For some odd reason, they're not producing that type of traffic thing that we need.
So, that truck equipment, we really need it, and, he got the quote, you got the quote, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, something like
I
that?
think but finally, once we get everything together, we decided to go ahead and, instead of keeping with our old, snowplow, equipment or spreaders and our plows, we decided to go ahead and just order new. So instead of having to go back and pay extra to make it, to change the hydraulics on them, that, with these new ones, it'll be, electric over hydraulics. So the spreaders and everything, it'll be separate. We won't have to run from the separate hydraulic tanks. It'll come off the electric cord, and it'll save us some money just by doing it that way. And plus all these other ones, everything will be stainless steel. So, that's why we decided to just go ahead and do that, because that way, that ought to last us for another 10, 12 years,
Lots of years.
till I'm gone.
Good?
Anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have a motion for discussion. Do we want to change this motion to turn this over to full council?
Yes, I'll amend my motion to send to council.
I'll second.
Call for vote.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Petra,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. All right. So unforeseen business. John?
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Nah. Second.
Call for vote.
Petra,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.